Hey everyone, welcome back to another production meeting. We're all here. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. Just a quick reminder for anybody that wants to listen to us, we're on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Amazon podcasts. So check us out there. Ryan's writing this down. Write it down, Ryan.
And for anybody who doesn't want to listen to us, forget you.
No, he doesn't speak for all of us. What did you guys do this week? Anything cool? Watch anything? Ryan looks excited.
What did you do, Ryan?
I will go.
Ryan.
I played a lot of Pyro and Mithra on Smash, and then I stopped playing them because they're a little OP.
See, I haven't even done that yet, and I downloaded them as soon as it came out. Just haven't had the time.
They're pretty fun. They're pretty fun.
Don't play them clones. They look like they're clones of another character.
No, they've got a very distinct style. And one of the things I really liked about a couple of the newer DLCs like Min Min was that there's like some distinct playing styles to them built into one character. And now that I played Tsushima, I kind of like that playing style. So there's like some strategy depending on which one you want to switch in and out of. Doesn't matter, you'll win either way. Just stay off the edge.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, my strategy is just hit the button, 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 hit the button.
His strategy is be Jigglypuff and then punch you and then don't play stocks. Just play time.
Jigglypuff is definitely not the player to play for hitting the button, hitting the button, hitting the button.
I know, that's why I am so feated in that game. Feated every time.
Other than that,
it doesn't matter if you. I was about to say it doesn't matter if you win or lose as long as your player's cute, and that is all.
That's true.
Well, other than some Smash Bros and some more Fallout, I watched a lot of stuff actually, and I'll try to keep it pretty short. Aside from the homework, I'll go like least to greatest here. I watched Love and Monsters. Actually, I bought it and watched it. It's pretty fun. It's all right.
That's Clint's favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. I wasn't like head over heels over it. That finale, I thought really it was okay.
Yes, high five, virtual high five on that.
But I mean, overall, I really enjoyed it, and I'll keep it. That's one movie I will keep this week, and here's one I won't keep this week. I rewatched the original Coming to America, and I remember that being really funny. I don't think it is anymore. And then I watched Coming to America, which is not good. So
wait, did you watch the old one first?
I watched the old one. I saw it a while ago,
yeah,
but I watched it on TV, so it's not like I sat down and watched it. So we rewatched it right before. I actually went out to Walmart and found it for a couple bucks, put it on, and I was like, yeah, I remember liking this movie. I think I laughed a couple times, and it's 2 hours.
You're just way more woke now. It doesn't resonate with you anymore.
Well, it doesn't. And on top of that, this film, the original, just wastes so much time when it doesn't need to. It could be a really nice, brisk 90-minute comedy and have a really sweet story to it. It is two of those three things. It is two of those four things. Sweet, and it's a comedy. But it is really hard to get through now. And the new one doesn't learn any lessons from that whatsoever. It's not that funny. It's really long. It's got entirely too much going on, and yet they continue to waste all the same amount of times on long sequences of nothing, which for a film that has too much going on is really confusing. There were a couple of good laughs early on. James Earl Jones especially has one really great joke that had me laughing more than anything the original did. But I also got to the finale, and I was like, okay, that's an okay wrap up, and I paused it, and I was like, oh, I've got 30 minutes left.
Oh.
So, no, not good at all. I gave it a 4 out of 10. Don't think it's, unless you like adore the original, I don't think it's worth watching. And also a terrible title. Just had to nitpick on that. No, they barely go to America at all. So, not sure why it's coming to America.
No, I'm just kidding.
Another 4 out of 10 I saw this week was Chaos Walking, which the Doug Liman directed film, which I guess we talked about last week, was done a couple of years ago, also really terrible. Definitely a worse 4 out of 10 than Coming to America. And these movies, by the way, are the reason I gave Tom and Jerry a 5 out of 10 based on my enjoyment level. I retroactively, of the 2 movies I watched before this, Tom and Jerry and Raya, I was like, do these movies deserve the ratings I gave them? And after this weekend, I was like, yes, they do. Chaos Walking's terrible. I don't really want to get into it. It's not worth watching at all. It's really boring. Like, if anybody's curious, it's really boring. And really obnoxious. Like, oh, it's interesting to hear somebody's thoughts throughout the whole movie.
I feel like I would have reviewed that exactly the same way just by reading the synopsis, because I read the synopsis and I watched the trailer and I said, this looks boring. Yeah, I think this is going to be terrible.
It is. My favorite thing about that film, sarcastically, is that they've got this whole weird agenda about males and thoughts, and the Chaos Walking is like supposed to be men's thoughts or something like that. And so there's this whole weird commentary thing, only to introduce Daisy Ridley and have the extent of her involvement be to fix radio.
Okay.
Real progressive stuff there. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right.
I'll make my list pretty short. I finally finished MLB The Show. I platinumed that bad boy, finally.
Woot, woot.
Now I can get the next one next month. Platinum that. Woo. No, that's actually like the best version of MLB The Show to date, and not because it's the latest one. I've played from one year to the next. Like, I think I remember 15 being absolutely butt cheeks. I'm sorry. That one was garbage. And then 16 was good, 14 was good, 15 was not. And then 20's like it puts all the good animations that they finally have gotten together, like in between pitches, and put them together, and they're like real. They look like real movements. And then there's tons of modes. That's a plus, where if you don't want to play like an actual full game or even a full season. Yeah. I used to do that, but I can't do that now. So it's got a little bit of something for any kind of baseball fan. So I finally platinumed that bad boy. And then I played a little Mario Galaxy in honor of Mario Week / Day. Hence the overall shirt and hat. Yes, I did dress for the occasion.
I thought that was just your normal outfit.
Yeah, man, this is my uniform now. Surprise, surprise, yours is in the mail.
Our listeners are really missing out.
I know, this is our production meeting uniform now. Y'all's will be coming in the mail.
Well, guys, I'm trying to say this is my last week in production meetings.
Did we vote on this?
If I'd have said we all are wearing like Ghost of Tsushima armor, Ryan would have been like, all right, I'm a size large or medium.
I will wear my Han Solo costume.
All right, I'll take that. That's good. And then other than that,
theoretically,
what did I do? I just did the homework, and that's it.
Sweet.
Nice. I just did the homework more or less, and then I watched the Pacific Rim anime on Netflix, which I kind of recommend if you're into that stuff. It's kind of a mix. It's got elements of Evangelion on there and almost elements of Attack on Titan. They've thrown in a lot of new stuff to try to make it interesting. I think the biggest downfall is just the animation style for it is a little weird. But I think it's interesting. So if Pacific Rim is of any interest to you whatsoever, I would definitely check it out. I think there's only 6 or 7 episodes up right now, and in typical Netflix style, it'll end on a cliffhanger and you'll have to wait for the second part of whatever season they call it. So I did that. And then I also started actually watching randomly just on a whim, and I guess because we've been talking about Josh Whedon, just started binging Buffy. So I'm like, I watched the first season and I'm like 3 episodes into the second season, and I enjoy it like I always do. So I recommend that too if you like quippy Overwatch, and that is about it. I'm sure I did other stuff too, and if I think of them randomly. Oh, and I've also, there you go, thought of them randomly. I've also been watching a lot of this YouTube show called Dead Meat. And it's a guy. Well, it's not a show; it's a channel. And it's this guy, and I can't remember his name right now. And they basically go through horror movies and just go through everything that happens in horror movies. They're kind of like cliff notes of horror movies, and it's really fun to watch because he adds a little comedy to it. So
it sounds like Discovery Channel for like horror fans.
Yeah, well, technically it's called, like, his main show is called The Kill Count, and he basically goes through all the deaths in the movies while going through the movies, and then does commentary on them as they go through. So
it actually sounds pretty interesting.
So it's pretty fun. So yeah, I've been doing that.
Is Buffy still on Facebook? Like, didn't they have it like on Facebook Watch or something like that?
I've been watching it. They have it on Prime. They have all 7 seasons on Prime, so that's where I'm watching it right now. Which I'm not sure if it's the transfer or whatever, but it doesn't look like, and this could just be the way it was filmed, just the typical transfer they have off the original. It doesn't look that great. It's not in that great of definition. So hopefully, I'm sure it'll get better in the later seasons, but definitely in that first season and the beginning of the second, I'm like, some of the scenes I'm just like, ugh, we need to go over this and touch this up a little bit. But
yeah. All right. Well, in lieu of our Disney watch this week, I watched Onward, caught up on some Pixar movies. So I watched Onward, which was decent. It was all right. Yeah, I was just like, all right.
That van scene, though.
The van scene?
I guess that describes a lot of Onward. That I won't spoil it for people. That last scene with the van cracks me up.
Totally don't even remember it.
When they sacrifice the van.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
It's been a year. It's
yeah.
okay.
I think there should be. I think there
the
should be.
Spoiler moratorium is over.
Yeah.
I can't tell if it's been a while or not.
Yeah. Statute of limitations is on spoilers. More than a year, there's no spoilers. Yeah. So there was some decent moments in Onward. I thought they were kind of nice, really touching kind of moments. The Pixie scene I thought was pretty funny. Watched Incredibles 2. You guys know me, I'm not a very big fan of sequels. But I thought this was on par with the first one. There are some things that kind of like notch it down just a little bit from the original, but I think it was pretty good, on par with the original. I watched Toy Story 4, which I am not a fan of. I did not like this at all. It was literally just kind of, it's like, to me, it just felt like a drawn out conclusion from the third one. It was like, hey, remember? And I thought, like, again, I put it on my mini review, like, the first 5 minutes of this is so sadistic. It's like, hey, remember all the happy times? Yeah. And then we get it ripped away. And it's like, and then you get this new kid. And who's this new kid? I hate this new kid. And so, and then it was just like, from that point, it was just like this long, drawn out 2 hour, like an hour and 45 minute, just like, yeah, we know what's going to happen at the end of this movie. It's just kind of drawn out to where he leaves.
Well, you've got, like, with Toy Story, you've got like the perfect trilogy with like the first 2, 3, and then they're like,
right.
And then they're like, all right, let's go back to the well again. Let's bring the characters back. After what, 8 years, 9 years, and you're like, do we really need to bring them back? I think you ended on like the best note you possibly could. The cycle is complete.
Yeah.
But they're like. But they're like, no, don't you want to? And this is all Toy Story movies. Like, you say they're all sadistic, but all of them are like the most horrible thing ever, like the saddest thing ever to like the happiest thing ever. Where it's like, oh, look at these happy-go-lucky characters all get abandoned, and now they're with a new owner, and they're all happy. That's every single one of them.
Well, it's a cash grab. All the people like around my age who grew up with this. They're old enough now where they're making something out of a living, and they're like, hey, this movie that you still like, kinda, come see the fourth one, and we want to know what happened, so we'll give you our money.
Well, yeah, and I think the argument could be said, like you said, Matt, is like, I think the first 3 is literally the perfect trilogy. Like, it's just like it ended perfectly. Like, you grow up and they move on and everything is just like, okay. And you get Bonnie, and like the cycle continues. And I don't really think that we need this, like, Woody coming to some realization that he should have been gone by now. Like, he's like, I don't know what I'm still doing here. And like, the only thing that, like, the other only thing that I like really didn't like about this movie is like he's really obsessed with his fork. And I never, yeah, I was like, why are we so obsessed with this fork? Let him go. He's just like jumps out of that RV and is like, bye. All right.
They're
End
like,
of movie.
we need another toy. What can we come up with? What's in the office right now? Oh, you had takeout. Here, grab that fork. You got those pipe cleaners? I think we got something here.
Right.
No, I always think, yeah, number 2 is always my favorite of Toy Story. And anytime I ever think of Toy Story, I always think of the fact, I think, if I'm not getting this incorrectly, that Toy Story 3 was the first movie in theaters to implement 7.1 surround sound. I may not be totally accurate on that, but yeah, there's something of that nature. I'm sure it's on Wikipedia somewhere, but I'm like, okay, fun fact, the more you know.
Yeah. I sat and watched Frozen 2.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was on this Disney kick, and
Clint, hold on. Let me ask you, how convoluted did you think that plot was? How complicated do you think that was, considering it's supposed to be a kids movie?
Oh, considering it was a kids movie, yeah, there's a little twists and turns in it that were just like a little bit convoluted. But I got like 20 minutes into it, and Amy and I were watching it with Quinn, and I turned to Amy and I was like, "You've seen this before, right?" And she looks at me, she says, "Yeah." And I said, "Is this and this happened?" And she kind of looks at me and she goes, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, all right, well, that was that." It just took me right out of the movie. So, the last thing I watched was that documentary of Framing Britney. I don't know why. Like, I was like, huh. I put it on, and then like it does. I will say that the documentary is like only an hour and 14 minutes long or something like that, but it is kind of engaging. Like it's like it like draws you into like everything that's happened to Britney Spears over the last her whole career or whatever. And I was like, huh, all right, you learned something. I didn't care for it, but it was like, okay. That was it. Are you guys ready for the news? All right. It's gonna be short and sweet because some of this is just kind of like letting you know. First off, though, Michael B. Jordan's directing Creed 3 and is coming out on Thanksgiving of 2022. So this should start being filming pretty soon. Thoughts on Michael B. Jordan?
I'm happy. I mean, I like that he's so attached to the project that he's willing to kind of helmet. He's one of the best things about it, and he does a fantastic job in both the first two. So it's a series that I don't know how much life it has in it, but curious to see.
Yeah. Thanksgiving time.
I could take or leave the idea of Michael B. Jordan directing. I mean, because is this his debut? Have we talked about that before? I can't remember.
This is his debut, actually.
So I'm like, nothing to compare it to. So I mean, I'm down, but I'm also not expecting much.
I'm more curious to see it because if it is his debut, like him directing his own fight scenes, like pretty intense like fight scenes in the I feel like, is he really going to be able to direct all those? That's one of those things where you're just gonna have to trust somebody else because he's going to be all like tired and beat up. Like, all right, guys, does that look good? All right, let me go see this dripping sweat all on like the monitors or whatnot, checking out the things they just shot. I'm interested in that.
His first AD is going to pull a lot of weight in that movie.
Yeah, probably.
Wasn't Sylvester Stallone like not co-director or like assistant director, but he was like he had a lot of input on the Rocky movies, didn't he?
Well, he wrote them or
he wrote them. That was it. Yeah. You're right. That was
it. Like he
wrote
didn't he write the last two Creed movies as well?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
So maybe it can work.
Because Ryan Coogler was the director of the first one. I can't remember who was the director of the second Creed, but yeah, Stallone wrote most of the Rocky movies. So, All right, moving on. I don't know why this is a thing. I don't know where this started, but apparently James Gunn has says that Zac Efron is not joining Guardians 3. I know. I was like,
I think what we read into this is Zac Efron is going to be in Guardians 3.
He's totally not going to be here, guys. Don't expect that. And then he's like the front person on the poster when we get it.
I don't know if this is trending or like some rumors started. I don't know. But yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Marvel can get anybody. I would love to see him in it now that he's not going to be in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I'm a low key fan of Zac Efron, so any project he's in, I'm down for.
His later work, yes.
All of it, man. All of it.
His Wildcat days.
Yeah, we're all in this together, guys.
Oh boy. Moving on.
Yeah, get your head in the game.
Oh, Ryan, I need you to leave. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm stopping this before it gets started. Some Snyder Cut news. Apparently, I don't know if you who have watched Tom and Jerry seen the Snyder Cut and didn't tell anybody, but apparently this leaked a couple days ago. If you watched Tom and Jerry some morning this week.
Yeah, that's what I forgot to tell you guys last week. I never actually watched Tom and Jerry. I just made all that stuff up. I actually watched the Justice League movie. So I know
All
what
4
happens.
hours.
I'm wondering, like, I'm amazed. Well, I say this without having actually checked, but I haven't heard that this thing did not get bootlegged, if that was the case. I'm very surprised if that was actually up, that no one had a chance to rip that, which makes me wonder how inflated that news is, if it actually streamed the whole thing or if it just popped up for like a little bit.
Yeah. You know what else is really funny is that this movie technically got leaked in theaters 4 years ago.
I knew someone was going to say that at some point.
Maybe someone was just really high and they accidentally started just regular Justice League thinking they were starting Tom and Jerry, and they're like, what? This is a new one?
Where's the mouse?
Chloe Sermetz. But it leaked apparently, and to go along with that, Snyder said that there's an epilogue chapter to the Snyder Cut. So,
well, now that I think about this, ironically enough, if there was a movie that was going to be in like 4:3 aspect ratio, it probably should have been Tom and Jerry and not Justice League.
Facts.
Probably.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna tell us that the Snyder Cut was like 4 hours part 1, and then next year we were getting part 2.
No.
5 hours.
Zack Snyder has repeatedly said that they haven't talked to him about any type of sequels or anything. Which I know that all of us here are so bummed about, but whatever. Any other thoughts on the Snyder Cut? No, I know. We're gonna see this next week.
I am so excited that in 2 weeks we'll actually just be able to shut up about this.
I know,
I've
right?
watched it, and then it's gone. We don't have to worry about it anymore. We've been talking about it for like a year. It's going to be the most disappointing, annoying thing we've ever seen. And then we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Right.
And that's probably why they haven't talked to him, because they're like, Zach, just put out the movie. We're done. We're making this Flash. We're not worried about that crap anymore.
I'm gonna watch like Gettysburg and Cleopatra just to get ready for another 4-hour movie.
There you go.
And what was it, Lawrence Arabia?
Yeah, Lawrence Arabia. Both Red Cliff movies.
Nice.
Oh gosh. John Woo.
Yo, I do want to watch both Red Cliff movies.
Woo.
Moving on. Annie Murphy is joining Russian Doll 2, or Russian Doll Season 2.
Did you say Eddie Murphy?
Annie Murphy? Annie Murphy.
No comment.
I would have been more excited if it was Eddie Murphy.
Coming to Russia.
Yes. So she's joining the second season. Coming to Netflix soon. Yeah. Hellsing, the anime Hellsing is being adapted into a film from the writer of John Wick. This I actually am kind of excited about. Apparently, it's like vampires and stuff like right. I only watched one episode, but
Yeah, there
Cool.
is. My brother tells me about Helsing every once in a while, and he's shown me a clip or two, and it's obviously it's vampires and it's dark stuff, but it's really cool. I'm like, I am interested in this project. I would go see this.
it just says a film, so I'm not sure if it's like a live action film or not. But
I was about to
Yep,
say, I think you
yeah.
just made history. You didn't announce that they're making an animated show. You announced that they're making a movie out of an animated
We
show.
broke the trend.
This one I believe will happen.
yeah, right.
And then he's like,
Yes.
all right, moving on. Van Helsing animation series coming to Netflix.
No, we can rest assured that that's not coming this week. Though what is coming is Jumanji 4. Apparently, this is a thing.
Wait, I haven't seen Jumanji 3 yet.
I was just gonna ask, like, is
Because
it like the third one not out yet?
the continuity considers Robin Williams as the first one. Like on IMDb, it's like a series, so it's like follows the first one.
Oh, well, now my head hurts.
Wait, what?
So
Seriously?
so if you go to IMDb, it should be like if you go to Jumanji and you go down, it should say followed by Jumanji Next Level and Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle and Next Level.
Wait, is that legit? Like, are you saying that like that's legitimately the case?
Because they
are
dropped like that he was in the jungle in the first
I mean, that's
rock
true.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, because they go to the treehouse or whatever, right? And like it says Alan was here or something like that, right?
Okay, you're right. Yeah, that is part of it.
And I mean, they don't explicitly ever say they don't number title them.
Jumanji.
Well, isn't the second or wasn't the third one called like Welcome to the? No, it's called the Next Level, isn't it, or something like that? Okay.
Jumanji 4.
So I mean, technically, so what we're saying here is that that Jumanji 4 is the next one to be released, not Jumanji what we thought would be 3.
I just can't wait to see who switches up with who now. Which characters are going to play which characters?
All of them are going to be Zac Efron.
Oh, perfect. Take my money.
Okay, so apparently this is coming from comicbook.com, but Seven Bucks Productions. Garcia was asked for the future of the blockbuster Jumanji franchise. He confirmed that are indeed planning to produce a fourth Jumanji installment, revealing that the Dwayne Johnson-led project is currently in early stages of development.
Well, just to confirm it too, when you Google Jumanji 3, Jumanji The Next Level pops up. So
wow.
So Ryan got it right.
Well, he knows all his rock stuff, man. Don't try to get something by him.
Right?
I don't want to participate.
I mean, like, to be fair though,
Well,
both of those films, like the past two Jumanji movies, have been very successful.
Yes.
And
Right.
the second one and the third one, I'm gonna keep calling. Do you call it the second one? I guess you call it the third one, even though that sounds super dumb. Ended on a cliffhanger. So I mean, they're both $100 million movies. I think. I know the first one definitely was the first weekend. I'm not sure if the second one was, but they both open on Christmas, I think.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. According to this article, it says the follow-up installment comes more than a year since the threequel Jumanji: The Next Level made its theatrical debut in December 2019. It garnered positive reviews and earned a worldwide gross of $800 million.
Yeah.
On a budget of 132. So.
Yeah, and 32 of that was Rock's salary.
Probably. The entire Jumanji franchise currently has a combined gross of more than $2 billion worldwide. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Two new ones.
We if those are like films that if they're on TV, we'll leave them on the TV here because I find them entertaining as much as I rip on them.
Yeah.
I agree as much as I rip on The Rock.
Yeah, I mean, as much as they are carbon copies of each other. I mean, yeah, there's entertainment to be had. I remember going in to watch the first reboot, second movie. Now that we've established that, and I was like, this is not bad. I was expecting this to be
Oh yeah, completely.
pile of garbage, but it
Mhm.
was not bad. Same with the third one.
I will admit I haven't actually seen the third one.
You pretty
So-
much already have. I mean, just take that second one and that's
And
it.
add Aquafina.
Yeah, get some Aquafina and you've got
Is that
it.
a segue?
Not yet. Any more thoughts on Jumunji 4? Apparently.
Thank you. I was one. I don't think you did it on purpose, but we'd all been calling it Jumanji, and nobody had said Jumanji yet.
Jumunji.
Jumunji. Ooh, bark.
Oh, my dog.
Okay, so moving on. We have some dates moving. Apparently, F9. I don't know why they just call it Fast and Furious 9. Has moved to June. Which is weird because A Quiet Place 2 actually moved into May from September. So I guess we're
Well, I think that seems like I guess the studios have a better eye on when they want to start opening, and it sounds like middle to end of April is probably the time that they're gonna think most theaters are gonna be opening up. Which
Right.
it was F9 was what, April something,
Mhm.
I think,
At
before, because they moved
first-
like yeah.
at first like when they first like started pushing everything back. I think it was April, and then they moved it to May, and then they
Yeah.
moved out of then Universal moved it out of May to June. It's like it's I think it's the 20 something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember that being April because I remember that and Bond getting pushed back. But Bond got pushed back to Thanksgiving at the time, and then to be
Mhm.
determined, I guess.
Because we had laughed about F9 being the first
Yeah,
movie
exactly.
to like wave the white flag and be like, we're moving a whole year, guys. We'll see you
Yeah.
in 2021.
We're not even dancing around this. We'll see you next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
exactly my point.
Yeah, and A Quiet Place moved up from September into F9's spot at like it's like Memorial Day of this year. So, yay!
Yay!
Yeah, and like you said, Matt, I think like the governor of California said that like stuff is going to start opening up in LA,
Mhm.
like even as soon as like this weekend, apparently.
Yeah,
So-
both New York and LA have like their governors have told the theaters that they expect them or want them to open up sooner rather than later. So
Mhm.
then it'll trickle down.
Yay! Movie time. But that's it of the news. Like I said, this is just kind of like filler.
That's it.
That was it. Unless you guys got anything else.
Let me double check the old notes here.
Jumunji animated series. Just kidding.
All right, guys. Jumanji
Actually-
5 has been greenlit.
What wasn't there a Jumanji animated series at one point?
It wouldn't surprise me if there was.
Like around the Robin Williams movie, wasn't it?
I would not know.
Oh well.
I wonder if they're gonna do something where they incorporate Robin Williams into Jumanji, like they'll, what is it, CGI him or something. But I don't think, one, it's probably not a great idea, and two, I remember when he passed away, he had something in his will about something with people not using his likeness for like 30 years after his death. So, you can't mention that he was this and this and this in movies, I guess, or something. That's why nobody could do like a real, like, true tribute, because I guess it was breaking into that agreement or something. So it would be kind of a nice idea, but I don't think it'd pan out anyway. So
Well, there's a really good documentary on him on HBO. So I highly suggest kind of like watch that.
what is that called? Is it just called Robin Williams?
Can't remember. You're making me like work tonight.
Come on, man, do your job. No, I'm just kidding. No, I remember he was like the one guy, like everybody, when any celebrity dies, yeah, it's sad. But like Robin Williams, I just started looking up all of his movies I hadn't seen before. So like I knew of Vietnam, but I watched that, and then that's how I found out about Poet Society and love that movie.
Yeah.
Captain Mike.
I used to not be able to watch Patch Adams. Now I really can't watch Patch Adams.
Yeah, right.
I hated it before. Now I just feel sad.
Robin Williams, Come Inside My Mind. That's the title of the documentary. It's a very good. It's a 2-hour documentary, but it's very good.
Okay. I'll have to check that out.
Was anybody else as underwhelmed as I was about the Space Jam photos that they released?
Ugh.
Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they still do Lola Bunny the way she does, like with everything offending everybody at any time and ever.
Well, they desexualized her, apparently.
Doesn't look like it to me.
They just took her away. It looks like they just took away her crop top. Like they just gave her an actual jersey.
Yeah,
that's
like
literally a.
Yeah,
So.
I don't know. I don't know what the fuss was about that. I was like, okay, just make her a part of the team. Like, why do we need to sexualize a cartoon bunny?
Yeah, and then they desexualized Bill Murray. I couldn't believe it.
I'm glad you said that because I don't know if any of you knew of the casting for this movie. I had no idea Don Cheadle was going to be in this. I'm like, is he going to be what Bill Murray was back then?
No, he's the villain.
Yeah, they were going to get Terrence Howard, but then they decided not to.
But he decided, if I'm going to be in Space Jam, I'm going to be the most expensive actor on set. You better pay up.
Speaking of Marvel, are we ready to go?
Wait, I don't get to talk about how I don't like Space Jam and ruin another thing.
No,
that's actually that was going to be my like $25,000 question. Is who here thinks Ryan has seen Space Jam?
I owned Space Jam until a couple weeks ago.
And then you finally watched
the pictures.
Yeah, well, I'd seen it. I kept it for nostalgic purposes, and I watched it again, and I was like, I don't like this, so I got rid of it.
I'm gonna admit, hand on Bible, I don't even like the movie. Like, I don't understand like the whole.
It's
thing
not
about
great.
this.
It's not a cinematic masterpiece, obviously, but you know, for me personally, it's like it's nostalgia. It's fine. It's not great.
It's nostalgic. I think it helps if you enjoy basketball, especially if you enjoy basketball from that era. It also for me, it helps that it has Bill Murray in it. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. And then, you know, the Looney Tunes are okay. So you get that like Looney Tunes nostalgia thing in there that's better than the Looney Tunes movie. Starring Brendan Fraser.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Jenna Elfman.
Wait a second, Ryan, you have that, but you threw away Space Jam?
Proudly.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I mean, I guess.
We're going to talk about some of your life choices later, right?
Do I, the film guy, have the Hollywood satire, but not the basketball one?
True that. Touche.
Where Timothy Dalton, James Bond himself, plays an actor playing a spy, or plays a spy playing an actor who's the dad of Brendan Fraser's stunt double, making fun of Brendan Fraser the whole time because he's a diva.
I have no idea.
It's back in action.
What just happened?
I feel like I need to go back and watch this movie. It's been like 15 years for me, or maybe longer than that.
Yeah.
Bill Murray, Steve Martin. It's just
Steve
in the
Martin.
movies. In the movies.
Bill Martin.
Bill Martin.
Steve Murray.
I don't like the framing of that though.
That sounds like a basketball player. Steve Murray.
All right. No more news, Matt?
No, I mentioned it. Everything else was kind of like meh. So yeah, just the Space Jam thing I wanted to bring up.
Cool.
That's about it.
All right. Then you know what time it is? It is time to turn on our televisions. This is the series finale. And I put emphasis on series finale. Kevin Feige said that he has no plans to do another season of this. And with the way that it ended, I don't blame him. So, big battles. White Vision comes in, starts busting up some stuff. We find out what the book was from Agatha. And other things ensue. So, I'm sure we're going to talk about this in spoilers. So I gave this like a 7. It was kind of there was parts of this that were kind of disappointing. There was parts of this where I just wanted to punch these writers. And there was other kind of like good kind of things about this that were decent, like her costume reveal, the kids getting into the action of it, Photon having her little moment. But yeah, all in all, yeah, it was kind of a disappointing finale. And I'm wondering if like that's the fans our fault for making it this disappointing. So we'll talk about this and go spoilers later. Go ahead, Ryan.
No, I don't want to go first. It's not our fault. It's literally the people who made the show saying that things were going to happen and then not doing those things.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. It's them. I don't know if they were saying things were going to happen as much as teasing. But then again, it's, you know, people with such a show that's almost a little avant-garde. It's almost people, you look at everything and you're like, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you don't get like a definitive meaning or like something to have a payoff, you're just like, what? That's not good enough. Overall, I think it was fine. I think this is the trend we're going to get with these series is I give it a 7.2 out of 10. It's not bad. It's just, you know, we have our expectations and, you know, I can't fault it for not exceeding what I expected. But that's my fault. I think we're going to get a lot of these from these Marvel series where they're going to end up just building up the characters and progressing them and almost kind of leveling them up for upcoming movies, because these characters won't have movies to do this. There's too many characters now as it is, so they're going to use these series to do it. So, you know, we ended up with I guess this, I don't think this is a spoiler because you just said new costume, but we ended up with Wanda, and then we got a new costume Wanda, and we'll see what happens in Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier, because I'm wondering if something interesting like that'll happen at the end of that series.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 7 out of 10 without spoilers.
Yeah, I agree. I was kind of mulling over, like, I thought it was okay. Like, I think we all think it's like okay, but I guess I thought it was just that little bit better okay. Like, I was mulling between 7 and 8. I think I'm gonna stick with the 7, just because, yeah, it wasn't totally the best finale. It was just kind of, and I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. It just feels like we probably could have predicted what happened, is all I'm saying. Knowing what we knew last week and then the week before, it felt like we kind of could see this. And without giving any spoilers away, this may be a spoiler if you've seen the last episode, but props to Matt on calling what happened.
I was like 50-50 with my maybe like 65-35 with my predictions, but yeah.
No, I saw what happened and I was like, he called that, and I was like, why didn't we all think of that? Like, right off the bat. So, you know, I was like, yeah, and there you go. And that's exactly to my point. Like, we could have predicted this. So yeah, I'd give you like 70% on that one. Yeah, it was fine. I had to text Clint because I was like, what's this last scene mean? So yeah, it was fine. You know, not the best, but, you know, not totally the worst. It went like a perfect bell curve for me. Like, it started off real slow, then it got good, and then it went back down.
Yeah.
I think my average score for this entire season or the series was, there were a lot of 7s, so like a 7.2, I think, is what I averaged it out to. So it's, you know, it's fine. If you haven't, I think it's good now if people go get into it who haven't seen any episodes previous. So now they can just kind of binge it all. I think they can knock this out in a day or two, to be perfectly honest. I mean, only 9 episodes and only 20 minutes worth of actual content for most of them.
Yeah, I was about to say the episodes are like 40 minutes long, but 15 of that is credits.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'd be better if you just mowed through them all in one sitting, but the way we watched it, like most of America, was okay.
Yeah. Right.
I did not like this episode. I initially I thought it was fine, and even when I wrote my review, I think I gave the series a 7. I've kind of dropped that to a 6. I think I gave the episode like a 5. I could nitpick a lot about like expectations. My problems weren't with expectations. I don't really want to go into them without giving too much away. I was really disappointed with the overall
All right.
reasoning.
Well, let's
Oh,
just
go-
spoiler
yeah,
it now.
yeah.
I mean, you already
Okay,
said it.
yeah,
Let's
spoiler.
spoiler it now.
Stop watching it or listening if you haven't watched it yet. Okay, go Ryan.
So this show hinges on, I guess, Agatha being a villain, and aside from wanting Wanda's powers, never really get much motivation or character depth or reason why she let this whole thing go on for 6 or so episodes, only to then to be like, here's how to beat me, don't tell anybody. So you can definitely learn how to do that off screen some point, which we don't get any catch up time off screen. So I'm not sure where she learned how to put runes on a wall, but I didn't understand the reason for Agatha letting this whole thing drag out in the first place. And I'm sure there's some reason for it. If there is, I don't think it's very strong, because I don't think they've given much of it. Like, I guess she's trying to wait to figure out more about Wanda and how. But the last episode felt like it was building to something, and I don't think it has built to anything. And a significantly worse villain is the government guy. I'm going to call him government guy, who goes from a jerk, but he's legitimately trying to save people, to, oh, you know what? I'm going to shoot some children.
Yeah.
And then Darcy hits his car with a van. That's her interaction. Great character send off there for the series. Photon has nothing to do except save the imaginary kids. And the imaginary kids, we as the audience know aren't real. Vision's already dead, and we've got a new Vision to replace him. So I don't feel any emotional send off for this Vision for the second time, and not the last time, because we've already got a replacement for him. It's like Star Trek Nemesis. If Data had already died, come back, died again, and we had new Data. I don't like Marvel's fake emotional. Like,
I second that. I will agree with you full hearted on that one.
so yeah, I thought it was okay. As far as expectations go, I don't care. You're right, Matt. They didn't necessarily promise all these things were going to happen. The phrase Luke Skywalker cameo bothers me for sure, because we definitely didn't get that. My biggest complaint was, you can't cast somebody from X-Men and have us not build expectations. So let's
Yeah.
just throw that away on a joke.
Ralph Boner.
So that was a nice slap to the face.
You know, to your effect, Ryan, I agree with you, and I think that whole, fake Vision, her world shrinking down, and obviously that means that the kids and that him, that Vision, the fake Vision, they're gonna disappear, and they're having this tender moment, of I love you, blah blah blah, and I don't know, maybe this is bothering me more than it should, but the very last thing he says to her, it's something along the lines of like, "Cheers, Wanda." I'm like, really? You couldn't just say, "I love you, Wanda"? I mean, that would have been cheesy, but at least it would have been a good last liner. I don't know why that bothers me so much. It's like, peace, Wanda. I'm out. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you of Pietro. I'm like, you introduce all those theories and all those where the rabbit hole can go, and you're just like, all right, I'm gonna put the dirt back in the hole. Like, hey, pretend that didn't happen, but it did happen. I'm like, I don't get that 1 ounce. Like, it's dumb. And I think it's weird how Wanda, like, she's like, hey, you're gonna stay in this world, you're gonna play this character, and then she does that, where she's Agnes, or whatever her original name was, and then the world disappears, and I'm like, you just put her in this world, and then you took away the world, so you kind of just took away her punishment. It was like being in timeout for 5 minutes. So what happens to her now? So those are my two biggest bugaboos about it. But I still found it overall entertaining, but it definitely falls short of what we expected.
I will say, just to get like some positives out, because I don't want to seem too negative, I loved the Vision v Vision fight. Not necessarily like the CGI part of it. The philosophical part of the fight was the highlight of the episode for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I would agree. That's a pretty good moment.
I think both you guys bring. I mean, all those points are super valid. I think they just the writers in the show got into a situation where they just had so much to handle and such a smart. They put themselves in the situation, obviously, but they just there was no way they could in that last episode get away, say how much they wanted to say in just those 40 minutes. That's it, and everything just got finished right there, you know. And most of it was kind of, you know, anticlimactic. I mean, to an extent, they basically knew at the beginning of the show. They're like, all right, we need Wanda to become the Scarlet Witch because she hasn't become the Scarlet Witch yet. And that was the point of this show. So, and then they just thought of a very creative way. They're like, what can we do? And some, you know, writer was probably out smoking and was like, hey man, I had this crazy idea. What if we do this? Or he probably had an idea for a show that did this, and they just, you know, put that gimmick on here and then just made it work like that. They had a villain, they got their villain, they shoehorned the villain in. And who knows? I mean, logically, you always say, Ryan, movies got a movie. This TV show had the TV show at the end because they didn't have enough time. They're just like, all right, it's the Scarlet Witch. She can do whatever she wants. Let's screw the runes. This Agatha Harkness, we can't kill her. Or Agnes, wait, what's her name again? Agnes? I get a mix
Agatha
up.
Harkness.
Harkness. Yeah.
You had it right.
Yeah. We can't kill her. We need her probably for the future. So what are we gonna do with her? I don't know. Just tell her she's gonna stay here. We have this military guy. What are we gonna do with him? I don't know. Just have him shoot the kids after he tries to shoot the kids, and then we're gonna throw him in jail somehow, I guess, because that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel bad for that guy. He's a jerk, but he's trying to do the right thing.
And you're absolutely right about that whole Vision thing, because you know, like White Vision going off, you're like, all right, Vision's here. He's unlocked, you know, Vision memories in here, so he's gonna show back up eventually. Whether it's in Avengers 15, he'll show back up and change his color back, and they'll get back together, or at least some point. You know, so it's there. My biggest, you know, I was really hoping there was going to be a big bad, or at least a hint at another one, and maybe that last post-credit scene is that hint, maybe. So I was a little let down by that, and I'm not ready to like move on for this Ralph Boner thing. Like, I understand it's a joke, but the way they handled the whole situation, just, I don't want to put that to rest just yet. Like, I feel like they did not tie that up completely. Like, there's like still a glimmer, if you want, that could be something. So, right. I mean, obviously, we never found out who the guy in the protection in that town was, which they mentioned twice, I think. Of course, they haven't mentioned it in like 5 episodes or 6 episodes, that there was like a witness protection person in here. And the fact that this character is playing, you know, her brother from, or could be playing her brother from another dimension, and is living in the town that she was going to be moving to, like across the street from her. I mean, that's a little weird in itself. So who knows?
Was it across the street, like next door?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So
sorry.
I don't know. There's a lot of things here, and I completely agree with like I said, with your criticisms, Ryan. That totally makes sense. But I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, and as much as I didn't like it, I also enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So,
well, okay. So from like a technical aspect, yeah, Ryan, I completely agree with you, because I think that they needed a gimmick for this show, because I mean, if you look at it on paper, it's like you said, Matt, it's just like she needs to become the Scarlet Witch somehow. And are you really going to watch 9 episodes of her just kind of like learning magic, or do we need to have like a gimmick to pull people in and then keep them watching? And so that's what the show was for like 5 episodes, because after the 6th one, like all these answers started to be, or these questions started to be answered, and it's like now you're just waiting for the answer to the question that you've been asking like before. So yeah, I think that they wrote it and was like, this sounds cool, and like we can like change the House of M to fit the MCU, and we can do these types of things and so on and so forth, and like get people to watch this. And then they got to that 6th episode and they're like, well, crap, we got to apparently end this somehow, and we're just going to start disappointing people. And they were like, screw it, let's just end it. And they're like, okay. So yeah, I think in another aspect, I think that they were laying seeds, because this is supposed to be the kickoff for phase 4. So now, as being the house comic book nerd, I think that this series has way more to do with a lot. Like, it's going to have a lot more impact on the MCU so further down the road. Because she does, like, I think Agatha says something about, like, you don't understand, like, what you've unlocked. You don't understand, like, what you've done, something like that. So I think that the big bad is Cthulhu, actually, who is, like, the creator of chaos magic, and, like, his whole demeanor is, like, locked into this book somehow, the Darkhold, which they kind of, like, say what the book finally is. So, like, he's the author of this book, and he's, like, this celestial being, or like magical being that kind of, like, lives inside the Marvel universe. So I think that he's like the whole scene is going to have much bigger impact way further down the road. I was disappointed with Photon, like you said, like, she was just kind of there to kind of, like, stop stuff.
Well,
But with
I think, to interject right quick, and I also feel like the writers or the creators of the show got a list of things they needed to take care of in the
Mhm.
show, and probably creating Photon was on that list. They're like,
Mhm.
we need this character for the new Captain Marvel movie, so make it happen, because we need to make this make sense.
Right.
And that's what they did.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm willing to bet that she's going to have something to do with the Secret Invasion TV show that's coming, and, like, Captain Marvel 2. And yeah, they set her up, but it was like you said, like, she got these powers. Let's see what she could do, and that was kind of disappointing.
You gotta wait, man. Gotta wait.
I know. And with the whole Ralph Boner thing, I do think you're not going to, like, hire somebody of that stature and that noticeable if they're not going to have some sort of, either now or later, like you said, Matt, maybe he is from the other dimension in the multiverse, because, like, he uses his powers, which is kind of weird. Like, if he's being controlled, like, if that's, like, is that a part of her magic? Like, she gave him the powers to be Quicksilver with her powers, or is he really, or is she just unlocking something that just happened to be there? Does that make sense?
I mean,
Okay.
that totally makes sense. Like, my whole thing was, you hire this guy and then you make it like a secret. You're making it a secret the entire time. Do you make it a secret because, why do you make it a secret? Do you make it a secret because it's a huge thing because of what it leads to? Or do you make it a secret because it's not a huge thing? Like,
Yeah.
like, do you want people to, like, I don't know what causes you to speculate more.
Right. But like, that whole scene, like, he like flashes, like, he zips through the scene too. So I don't know, like, if, like, he has the powers altogether because of her magic, or, like she said, like I said, like, she's just unlocking stuff. Because before, like, she, like, throws him down on his beanbag or whatever the hell he was sitting in, and took his necklace off, and then he loses powers, but you don't see him anymore. So I don't know if he still, like, had the powers after that, or what. And as far as, like, Agatha Harkness, she's one of these interchangeable characters throughout the comic books, that she is good in one point, bad in the other. And I think that she's just going to be tucked away until they need her again. Because let's face it, like, Catherine Hahn did an amazing job with this character. Like, the whole cast was amazing. Like, I would be highly surprised if at least Elizabeth Olsen didn't have some sort of, not at least a nomination or talked about during the award season. Well, yeah, I think there's laying seeds for everything that's coming through. So
I also think we should give a little bit of respect to the writers, for, because I know when they were making the show, one of the things, this might be the reason they came up with this gimmick for the show, one of the reasons is Disney knew that they were going to release these episodes, or they knew these episodes were going to be released weekly. So they had to figure out a way to keep people invested and interested every week. If you had released all these at one time, they wouldn't be nearly as impactful as they were. And you said if you binge them, like, releasing these weekly, week after week, you had a whole week of buzz of people, like, looking into each individual episode, looking for every little thing, trying to see what's going to happen later. And you can't buy that type of publicity and that type of buzz for that kind of programming. So props to them.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it every week for the last 9 weeks. So, yeah. I don't know. As far as like the end credit scenes, it's like I kind of figured she'd be going with the Skrulls. Photon, she has to go somewhere. And with Wanda, that was kind of an interesting scene because I think that's where like Athuk starts to come in, is like her kid's screaming and whatever as she's corporally reading the Darkhold or whatever. So,
I mean, come on, man, you can't hate it too much. We got, upgraded Scarlet Witch. We got Photon, who's going to be an integral part. We got her. I'm assuming we're going to bring her kids back. I don't know. And from what I've read or heard, if they come back, I guess they're not going to age them up. They're going to let them age through the series. Like, so not real time, but honestly through the movies. So they're going to get older as the movies, progress. So that's cool, man. And then you got Agent Wu and you got Darcy, and who knows if they're going to, put them in other shows, which they might, since they were so popular in this.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
I mean, you got a lot. I don't think you can really take anything from that or take anything away from that. So I think they did a great job. Yeah, they just had way too much to do in that last episode. And, it's their fault and it's not their fault.
Yeah.
I need a little note I had about the last cliffhanger is that they cue in like the first 5 notes of Michael Giacchino's Doctor Strange theme, only to know that we're replacing Giacchino with Danny Elfman. And every time Marvel replaces a composer, they don't carry over themes.
Interesting. So, yeah. Overall, I'd give it an 8, to be honest with you. Overall,
I think, it's a series. I'm just really interested that you brought that up, Alex. Like, I don't know if people are going to have that same effect with binging the whole series than you do having to marinate.
I think that just comes with any series. I think it's more effective and you can saturate more interest into it when you not prolong it. That's not the right word, but do it weekly. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I just was like, it's a thought, would it
you're fine.
Eventually be better? I think one of my favorite parts is the realization that Monica is. Now, I mean, I don't know the characters all in the Marvel universe like by heart, and that Monica's mom was basically that pilot friend person of Captain Marvel's. I was like, oh, when I finally realized that, I was like, oh, that's cool. But at first, it didn't make sense. I was like, yeah, but she was only a little girl back then. But then I recalled, I was like, wait, but that's back in the 90s. So I'm like, oh, it makes total sense now. I did like that part because it made me go, oh yeah. So so there are good parts to it. I'm gonna stick with a 7 because I enjoyed it. It was entertaining, but there are faults with it, but there are pluses. There are more pluses than minuses, but those minuses sometimes are glaring.
All right.
So do you think now the question is, with my theory, do you think with Falcon and Winter Soldier, are we actually going to get a definitive new Captain America at the end of that series?
Yes. Coming from the horse's mouth.
Oh.
Coming from the horse's mouth, he said yes.
Did he?
Definitive. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was wondering, because after she became Scarlet Witch, I'm like, I feel like this means that next series we're gonna get like somebody as like a new Captain America, like just like cemented.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Interesting.
And
wait, which one? Who said they were gonna be the Captain America then? Was it Falcon?
Do you want me to spoil it for you?
No.
Oh, well then I don't know.
It's actually going to be Daniel Bruhl as Baron Zemo. He's going to turn good.
Part of my brain is like I keep seeing the advertisements. You got both of them, and then you have the girl who I can't remember her name either. And I'm like,
Agent 13.
I'm like, oh man, what if they're like, we like women in all these new roles. What if we make Agent 13 the new Captain America? Because we already got Winter Soldier and Falcon. Why are we gonna mess with them? Let's upgrade Agent 13.
It's not a bad pitch.
Yeah.
That's not. It's like, all right, let me hear more.
I don't know.
Because you can keep Falcon and Winter Soldier and just have the trio.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the sad thing about this is as much as we kind of like knocked the last few episodes of WandaVision, I think that Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be completely different, where we're not going to like pick apart like, what does this mean? What is this? I think it's going to be just a straightforward like. I
Yeah,
think
this
it's
was
going to be
awesome.
I think this is going to be a Captain America Winter Soldier feel. It's going to be like that espionage spy thriller, whatever. Yeah.
Well,
I hope
it's
so.
been, I finally, after WandaVision went off, I finally watched the trailer. I hadn't watched any trailers for the show yet, and I finally watched it, and I was not expecting the tone that I was going to see that I saw in the trailer, so I'm very excited as to how the show's going to progress. I mean, obviously it's not going to be as weird as WandaVision, but the dynamic between those two characters seemed very interesting, and I can't wait to see how that goes.
Yeah, their chemistry is really kind of palpable. I kind of like them together. But yeah, these are gonna be hour-long series. This is gonna be hour-long episodes, or Disney hour-long, so it'll be about 45 minutes apparently.
Well, you mean
With 30 minutes of
hour?
credits.
Yeah, I was about to say 40 minutes of content and 20 minutes of credits.
Yeah. I don't know, and I think they're only going to be like 6 episodes long. So I think this is going to be right up until Black Widow. Black Widow still comes out on the 7th. The new CEO of Disney is very adamant. The 7th of May is going to be Black Widow Day. So, and then we get Loki in June, which I think is going to be another weird.
And then what are we getting an upgraded Loki at the end of that series, or are we getting a new character?
I don't know.
I would love it if that series ends with Loki dying, but another Loki just going to another dimension.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that'll be every episode.
Yeah. And then we get What If, which I'm kind of excited about, the animated series. So
they also updated the 2 new episodes for whatever Marvel Legends or whatever they called it with Winter Soldier and Falcon on there. In case you guys forgot how those characters came into the Marvel universe, you can have the 10-minute YouTube supercut of all their scenes from the past, 15 movies.
yeah. Yay. That's okay. Any other thoughts on WandaVision? No? All right, then well, this television is off for good. Next up, we actually reviewed something. We watched an actual movie this week. Raya and the Last Dragon. And this follows Raya, who is I want to say she's a princess. And it takes place in the fictional world of Kamundra. And there's dragons and everything. And then these like dust clouds come and turn everybody to stone, and the dragons come together and they make the stone and they push the dust clouds out. But then the Kamundra splits into other states, I guess you would call them, because of the fighting over the last orb that the dragons have made, and now that's broken. She's trying to get them all back together. Who wants to go first on this?
So I'll get mine.
Do it, Mario.
Bling, bling. Oh man, I really hope we can add a sound effect later to this.
Pushing it.
I like this movie. I like this more than Soul. Like I thought Soul was okay, and people were raving about that. Like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. This I fairly enjoyed. I think this is what, if people said that about this, I'd have been like, all right, I agree with you. I liked it was vivid. It wasn't over the top with anything. It was humorous, but not like blatantly obvious about it. Like it was very charming movie. And every character, no matter how small in this, is likable. Even the villains, heck, even the entity that actually is the villains. For some reason, I'm like, I think it's because they like I like them because they remind me of oddly enough the 2008 version of the Prince of Persia, where they're called corrupted, and they basically do the same kind of thing. So yeah, so it's really cool. It's very cutesy. I found myself laughing every once in a while, and not that kind of thing. It was like, ha, that actually was genuinely funny. So I like this, and it didn't. The ending. I'm not going to give anything away until we talk about spoilers, but I thought it was going to go the way that Disney, the typical thing, but then they kind of shifted in another way, and I'm like, oh, okay. Now you were daring me to lower my score a little bit there, but you guys kept it real. You kept me off my toes. So I like this a lot. I think I'd give this an 8. I really enjoyed this. I kept thinking, when this comes out, maybe not immediately, I would add this to my collection very much. This is one where the $30, I don't know, $30 is still steep, but this is way more worth it than Mulan ever was hoped to be. I like this a lot. And I say an 8 because I know there are things wrong with the movie. And this is where you guys come in, because I know there are things wrong with the movie, but I can't really point them. So you guys have to help me out with that. But
Right.
yeah, it's an 8, very charming movie. I mean, I say it's an easy yes for do I get a Disney Plus account and get this? Like this. I think so. For sure. Or heck, just go see it in the theaters somewhere, wherever a theater is open.
They're opening.
Yeah, definitely. It's whatever their price is. Go see it. It's very good. You'll like it. I almost wish that's a bad thing. Like, I wish I'd have seen this on a big screen. That's the only bad thing about this experience. I really wish I'd seen it on that 100-foot backdrop. But yeah, 8 out of 10. Solid movie.
Cool. Anybody?
Well, Alex, if you are looking for somebody to nitpick, I am not the one today. I went and saw it in Dolby, and I also just loved it. I actually do have some problems with it. Most of them I got over pretty quickly. None of them are structurally, and I'm sure we'll hear some more criticism from an anonymous individual among us. There were a lot of no, I mean, just to get one of my complaints out of the way, there were a lot of like Disneyisms, and I mean, like a lot of plot points that I've seen in very popular movies very recently, where I was like, oh, that's from Endgame, and that's from Force Awakens, and I was like, Disney is borrowing from themselves a lot, but what they lacked early on and playing it safe, I think they way made up for it in a really bold finale. And I don't really want to give too many of my thoughts away without giving anything away. Really stunning. Loved the Southeast Asian inspiration for it. James Newton Howard's score was really great. I like Disney music, but if I put on a score for a Disney movie, I usually don't love the score half as much as the musical half. And if it's not a musical, it's typically not one of my favorites. This was a really good score, and it manages to do it without any musical numbers holding it up. There were a few elements that were for kids. That's expected. Some of them, I've noticed that some Disney movies pull that off a little better. And I grab Moana here because this one does a really fine job for having its comic relief for kids. That's still funny. I didn't laugh at all the jokes in this movie, but I laughed a lot. Alex, I'm with you there. Yeah, I don't have many negative thoughts at all. I also gave it a strong 8 out of 10 right away.
Cool. Yeah, man. I think the best thing that Disney does with a lot of these films is they have that little pet, sidekick thing. And I mean, Tuk Tuk. I was immediately like, this is my favorite character. I love him little. I love him gargantuan. Give me some more.
By Alan Tudyk.
There you go. Yeah, I know. I looked that up later, and I was like, that's funny. His name's almost the character's name too. So.
And one thing I like really picked out in this movie that I try to do this every once in a while, just for like things I didn't think about in animated movies. Choreography. really great.
Yes.
Mhm.
I thought the same thing too. I thought that was pretty well done.
Yeah. I mean, that like that takes a lot of work, and then you have to animate it. Really good looking movie.
All right.
Maddie?
All right, bring us down.
Yeah, so this movie, there were some things that I liked and some things and a few things that I didn't like. I'll start with what I liked first. It was a very good looking movie, like you said, Ryan. It was very, very good looking. It's probably one of the best CGI films from Disney that I've seen. I was mesmerized by the backgrounds and the whole cinematography of this. Assuming they did them all digitally, they reminded me of when I first saw, and I'm sure this doesn't hold well, like I haven't seen this movie since a few years after it came out, but their movie Dinosaur, when they actually filmed they actually filmed live action shots and then put CGI on top of it. But it looked really good, or at least it did then. I don't know if it does now, but this actually looks like that, but it's all CGI, I'm assuming. So I thought that looked really good. Disney once again knocked it out with their character design. They made cute, lovable, fun creatures that were awesome and put a smile on your face. So that was good. Music was good. The thing that I didn't like and I couldn't get my head around, and I couldn't connect with this film for whatever reason, was the plot. It did not make sense to me whatsoever how a country, a unified country with dragons, is all unified and then gets mindlessly attacked by some random things that are turning people into stone, and then they do some magic and make the stone things go away, but all the dragons are gone and there's one little dome left, and then the country basically falls apart and turns into 5 warring, I don't know if they're warring or if they're just don't like each other countries.
There's a lot of finger pointing.
Yeah. But then the guy says right at the beginning of the movie, this stone doesn't do anything. This stone doesn't help us be prosperous. And after he said that, I couldn't get my head around the conflict. I'm like, why is this conflict here? And then especially when they invite all the characters together to meet initially, I just didn't feel any tension. I feel like there should have been more tension there. I could not get my head around this conflict, this whole mess, and it just did not make sense to me. I also not a huge, Aquafina's polarizing per se. Her voice is a little off-putting to me.
Yeah.
And to have her be, the co-main character, I get it. It's your Eddie Murphy. You want somebody who's going to sound a little interesting. And that's what you get. And this is the interesting Asian person that you can find, because they had to be authentic with this movie. Obviously, we have to get all Asians except for apparently Alan Tudyk, who I don't think fits that role, as far as I know.
He was the roly-poly, so
yeah. who is it? Yeah. So I just couldn't get it. And then the ending, the climax, I thought was pretty dumb. I understand. I was getting huge, for some reason that reminded me a lot of Guardians, the way it looked, with all the smoke and the things. And then the way they solve everything, I thought was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, really? That's all we had to do right now? This is it? You couldn't have done this before? No one's talking here. All my tribe, you guys know, in every film that I watch, my main thing is communication, and nobody communicates in any of these movies. No one does. And let's not say, and then another thing, this is, I think, the first Disney princess movie, and I call it a Disney princess movie, that doesn't have, it's not a musical. There's no, singing and songwriting in here. Or there's none in here. I think the last one that they did maybe was Wreck-It Ralph, which you might could shoehorn that into a Disney princess if you count what's her face, but not really. So I mean, that was Sarah Silverman. So I was looking forward to that. I can't fault it for that though, but I can't fault it for that plot and the fact that I did not enjoy it. It's like they were like, let's make something not complicated, but then I'm like, you didn't make it complicated. You just doesn't make sense to me. I just don't get it, and that's just me. So I think with the character design, which Disney's great at, making likable, fun characters, you know, in a world where apparently babies can communicate with little marmots and run around and steal things. I mean, I'm assuming this is normal in a world where dragons exist. Um, I I'm torn between a 5 and a 6 on here, and I'm leaning towards because I think it was entertaining enough for me, even though my brain hurt so much with this plot, that I'm giving it a 6 just because of how it looks. I also, what am I forgetting? I also actually, I wasn't a huge fan of the dialogue either, because they made it, and I'm not sure if they do it, but these kids, they talk like they were in today's times. Like their dialogue was like, they used the term like, she calls herself a dragon nerd once, and they were acting like that. And that was just a little off-putting for me. And it just seemed weird with what they were going for this movie. And I just didn't think it fit in. I think there's a reason that this film didn't do well in China. I think there's a very good reason. I just don't think they feel like these Disney films are authentic to them. I could almost say that these films almost seem kind of condescending. If I was like a legitimate Chinese person, I'd be like, really, this is what you're gonna give us? This story from you know West America coming in with this. So I don't get it. 6. I didn't hate it, but there was definitely a lot that hurt my head and that I wasn't a fan of. Was it Mulan bad? No. But was it like a great Disney, you know, princess film in my book? No, it wasn't either. So that's what I got to say about that for now until we go into, I don't think I spoiled too much.
No. Well, I am. So before I give mine, let's just do spoilers. So yeah. I'm going to pick up right where you left off, Matt, and I'm going to start with the bad stuff that so first off, I give this a 7 because it was entertaining, and it got Quinn's stamp of approval because she watched the whole thing. So, so this is, and we made fun of this a few months ago when we first saw the trailer. This is Avatar: The Last Airbender. It is just way more like you said, Matt. It's just the plot was way more complicated than it needed to be, and I feel like they gathered everybody in the room. They're like, okay, we're gonna make a very authentic South Asian movie, and we're gonna do this. And they were like, okay. So they started writing out the plot, and they were like, okay. And then Disney came in and said, okay, but this has to be a movie. And they're like, okay, but this could be a series. No, this has to be a movie. And so they shoved the plot down to like from here to here, and then like they tried to make it. They tried to make all this world building in like the first 5 minutes, and if you weren't keeping up with like the quick pace of like them explaining everything, like I think it would have been a little more confusing if like you weren't paying attention. Not saying that you weren't, man. I'm just saying that it's like they did a lot of world building in a very short period of time, and I don't think
it's not that it was confusing. I just don't think logically it made sense.
Right, because I think this would have worked better if like this is one of those movies that I think that it would work even better if it was longer. Like if they wanted to, because it had and this is where it starts to go into these good features of this movie. It had an epic feel to it, where this could have been like not this long, but like a Lord of the Rings, you know, Star Wars-esque type, because you have all this whole world and these like each one of these like sections of Kamandra like have their own separate personalities, and they all like, and it's like there's the water tribe and like the earthbenders and all this other stuff, and it's just like they have all this world that they could have like delved into and felt like kind of like pulled a lot of this out. And it's very good. It's very well put together, and I think that they did a really good job of like sectioning them off and making them distinct from each other. Diving a little bit back into the bad stuff, like why did she bring this dragon back? Like we're like going through the whole first part of this movie, and then all of a sudden she's like trying to find like how to bring this dragon back. Does they ever explain like why she decides to bring this dragon back? or how
I'm
she even
assuming-
learned.
I'm assuming because she was trying to figure out a way to save everybody, and she thought that the dragon would help.
Yeah,
Why
did
since they knew that she had used that orb to basically save everybody before, and now that the things are broken and those creatures are back, it's like, now we need your help again.
Well,
Why
that
did it
was-
take 6 years?
Because
There were a lot of rivers she had to check, sir.
that was one thing I thought was odd. Like, they say, oh, there's tons of river ends to look at, and I'm like, nobody thought to check there if everybody knows this legend. I mean, I looked at the map and I paused it for a second, just to be like, okay. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, it's not the biggest setting. I mean, it's a wide landscape, yes, but it's not so long that it would take somebody 6 years to travel to that many rivers. Maybe if you go, you know, here's this one, here's this one, here's this one,
Right.
and move this, or here's this one, here's this one, here's this one, here's this one.
Right.
You know, so I thought that was weird, and I do agree a little bit to an extent with Matt about the ending. I think more often than not with Disney movies, it's way more about the journey than it really is the end, because the ends are usually corny and cheesy, and they, you know, incorporate, you know, love and family and stuff, you know, because it's a kids movie, it's a family movie, they got to do that kind of stuff. But I do agree that I think it was cheesy, but it also wasn't, it didn't make total sense. Like, it could have been like, what am I trying to say? Like, why didn't you just do that before? I agree.
Why didn't the stupid dragon go, hey, can we just put all these pieces together right now? It'll kill everything. We'll be done. As opposed to, trust me. Like, why don't you explain yourself, ma'am?
Yeah.
Just let him know that that's what we're about to do.
Well, that's where, you know, you got to have an hour
And then she gets shot.
45 to do stuff, you know. I mean, they gotta expand it to entertain you for a while. So yeah.
Well, see, there it goes into my, like, the whole plot of this movie is like, okay, so if she was the one that, like, sacrificed herself for her other dragons, like, why was it her? Like, I don't understand, like, okay, yeah, again, like, this is why I gave it a 7. Go ahead, Ryan.
I have
Movie's got a
answers.
movie?
No, actually,
He's
that's not
gonna
at all.
school you.
That's not at all what I was gonna say. Okay, so I actually agree with a lot of those points, with a lot of everybody's points as far as negatives go. I think a lot of this film, and I'll get back to why I still love it, because, well, actually, I'll start with this. This film has a really hard focus on themes, and I really love that, and it sacrifices a lot for it. There are other Disney movies that have done the same thing better.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, that's why I was constantly comparing it in my head to Moana, where I was like, oh, Moana managed to do this better and this better. And so I don't think it's bad. It could have been handled a lot better, because they're trying to balance, like, how do we make this theme applicable for kids and adults? How do we make these characters relevant for kids and adults? How do we make the story come across and balance the world building? So I think there could have been some polishing there. Anyway, so I probably one of my favorite things about this film is how kind of useless this dragon is, because I mean, she does a lot. She does a lot to help, but like a true video game supporting character that you get, most of the work still hangs on your protagonist. And being a film,
Right.
it has to hang on that protagonist's ability to develop as a character, which directly clashes with your antagonist. And of course, you got the villains and the glowy things, but she really has this rivalry with this frenemy that she has, who directly opposes her character arc and goals in the movie. So she does essentially act as this antagonist. So I like that she's kind of still going off this hope that, like, she can fix the world by getting this dragon, and then it really just hangs on her by the end. But that finale, just having things start to fall apart and having the two fight, but then having her kind of finally finally learn from her mistakes and trust this, I can't remember the character names, but trust her frenemy, and then leave that resolution up to the antagonist's character arc, is really bold. And I love that that just really hones in on that theme of trust that the movie continues to go back to. And it does sacrifice a lot to get there. So yeah, you were talking about, like, why it's like the one dragon. I'm like, well, they kind of yada yada that she's like the useless one.
Right.
but it's kind of weird because they could easily communicate this better, but then you kind of abandon your themes. You could do it subtly, but then kids wouldn't get it. But then if you do it kind of more overtly, audiences wouldn't get it.
Right.
But I just adored the way they do that finale. I mean, it looks exactly like Guardians, and that's exactly what I thought. I was even playing the music in my head, where I was like, well, we've had our quest where we're going from we have to bring everybody back by going around and collecting rocks, and Ray's got to do it, but I don't know, something so good about like that self-sacrifice and then leaving it, like letting you trusting the antagonist of the film to come up with a resolution. You shouldn't be able to break from a plot like that, like a beat structure like that, and they do it really well, I think. So that's just what kind of impressed me the most, is the way they can play with that perspective as of an antagonist.
You say sacrifice, I say out of options.
Same thing.
Well, like I said, I didn't like understand like why like this one dragon, like why they all like it never explains on why, because she even asked like why does like the other dragons disappear, or if in stone or something like that. That never really kind of explains it. The positive things about this thing is like every Disney movie, and I think this is one of the things that Disney does so well is its casting. I was actually really impressed with its cast. I will disagree with you, Matt. I did like Awkwafina in this movie. I think that she was like Raya's opposite, her polar opposite, and in a lot of ways in personality and things, and like that's how she teaches her how to trust and all this other stuff. But I did really like the cast. Kelly Marie Tran did a really good job with Raya. Gemma Chan was Namari, is actually the frenemy. Things like that. I do think that the cast was done really well. And with all Disney movies, even Frozen, I think that it's cast really well. I think they found the perfect voices and kind of twitches for each of these characters. So, it looks really well. The colors and the turquoises and things like that are put into this movie are done really well. So I gave it a 7, maybe a 7.5, because I'll give the half point to Quinn because, like I said, she actually sat through all hour and 48 minutes of this movie. So I really liked it.
Well, to your point, Clint, I also that was one thing I forgot to mention. I thought the performances were pretty spot on. Like, I'm gonna get booed probably a little bit on this, but Kelly Marie Tran was so well known for her character Rose on The Last Jedi, which I thought was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And then Ryan's not listening to me anymore. And then she's not a bad actress, but I also hated that character, Rose. I'm sorry. People were riveting over it. I was like, I don't get it. I don't get what. She's not a bad actress. It's not her. It was the character. Now, because I say that because I was gonna jokingly text you guys and be like, oh man, it's Kelly Marie Tran, and I'm like, now I'm gonna hate this movie. But she did really good. I think she was the right choice for this. Her voice matches the character well. It just feels natural. Like at no point did I think, oh, that's her. Yeah, like that totally. I can just hear her and nothing else, and that's all I could see is nothing else. So I think that was, kudos to her on one being picked for the role, because I don't know if I would agree with it then because of my previous thoughts, but she did really, really well. I liked it all. And like I said before, it's the performances go into the likability of all the characters too. Like they're all really effectively done well. And I don't think any of us have mentioned the one of the unsung heroes of the movie is what's his name? Captain Bugga, I don't know what his name is. Little boy.
Oh my gosh!
One of the best characters I've ever seen. The best part was like when he's like, "All right, let's take this quest to go," and I'm like, "That's the best part of the movie right there." You guys can say whatever else you want. not going to change my mind. That was easily the best little one-liner for me.
So
I completely agree with that.
Boone? Yeah, that was it.
Boone.
I knew it was a
Boun.
B. I thought it was something weirder, but yeah, funny character, and that just adds to my point that all the characters, in my opinion, and I agree with you too, Clint, that Miss Aquafina. I actually, whenever I think of her, I always think of her in her performance in Jumunji, and I'm like, that's always the go-to for me. I think because that's the first thing I ever really saw her in. But I thought she was fine. She was quirky, and she's got that that background. And Matt just left for a second, but now he's back. He was like, "I don't agree with anything you just said. I'm leaving." But yeah, it's just I get your not nitpicks. That's not fair. But like I understand your displeasures with the movie, but at the same time, I guess I just view it.
I think a lot of my thought about this movie might change when they come out with more content, because they will come out with more content for this movie, whether it's a sequel or a TV show or a prequel or something like that, where the world gets defined more. Maybe that'll change my opinion of it. I don't know. I just and maybe this is just the film guy in me, like seeing films like this. I don't know if it just alienates me or what it is when I see these characters come on screen sometimes and they don't, and I go back to the baby, but like you put that in there to be cute. Honestly, this is the cutest thing that you could come up with. And I feel like I get that with almost every character, like the Shrimpo guy or the Shrimpo kid. Like, this kid's funny. Let's put him in here because this will be good. Let's get this in here. And let's go to every land and find one quirky person to add to our group. And I mean, that's just what I got. And I was just, I don't know, it just kind of put me off a little bit. And like I said, I wasn't feeling the plot to begin with, and I wasn't feeling Miss Aquafina.
Yeah,
But
I mean, something else that you said that, like, for me, it's good, but I agree with, like, to an extent that these characters don't act in the setting that they're taking place.
Oh my God,
realm.
you're a total dragon nerd. I'm a dragon nerd too. I love dragons. Let's go do this.
I get that, and you know what? And I think you have a point, a very valid point. I mean, is it entertaining for me? Yes, but then yeah, it's like you said. I forget the word you said. It's like it's not patronizing.
Condescending?
Condescending. Thank you to Chinese people, and I'm like, yeah, there you go. That's a valid point. But I mean, again, it's entertaining for me, but that's not necessarily like the most priority driven thing. So, but I still like it.
I think the modern dialogue, and I also notice it in a lot of the like editing and music on occasion, where they're going through like the pitches of how they're gonna go do this thing, which was a pretty fun sequence. I think it was just to lighten the tone. I think that's just such a, because it's not a musical, and it's funny, but it's not like a comedy. It's not like you gotta laugh every 5 minutes like Moana, and it gets really dark. And I think that was just to keep it fresh for anybody. I mean, specifically for younger viewers who are like, well, I don't understand what's going on. Oh, but here's a fun, exciting Mission Impossible meets Boss Baby scene. And I was like, yeah, I totally get it. So I think I agree. I would love to see, I don't know, it's like if we could like dream pitch a version of this where it's like we get to see a 4-hour, 4-part miniseries or 5-part miniseries, and we get like this just as authentic as possible. It'd be great. But I think this is probably the version they wanted to do for the target audience they're going for. So I think that's just kind of why the dialogue is light and fun. Because when she started talking about like, when there's a group project and one person doesn't contribute, and I was like, This is funny. Group projects? And I was like, oh, this is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So. Well, you go back, and I go back to Mulan, and you have the dialogue, which is pretty straightforward, and then you just have Mushu, who is clever like that and says like stuff that we would say, or that you would say currently. Or like in Aladdin with Genie, you have him saying stuff that we'd say now, and then everyone else playing it straight. So it's just, I don't know. It was off-putting to me. I get it. It's to bring other people in, and it makes sense. I just want to know why there's 5 different factions. That is all. And I want to know why they're all so mad and they can't share this stupid thing that apparently doesn't do anything except keep the monsters away. That's all. And I also want to know why that one country doesn't have rice, but they live in a place that has all the water. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I will bet you that there were 4 in the first draft, and that was only like a 90-page draft.
But see that's my problem with this movie is it's like I want a sequel to this, and I want a series or something like that, because this is a very interesting. I like worlds like this, and I like the mythical fantasy type of stuff, but it came so it's like it came like so close to being Avatar, and it was just like you have
They
these
just needed some big blue people.
Right, exactly. And I'm looking at Tuk Tuk going, well, there's Appa. Like, I don't understand. Like, that's
I remember saying the same thing, Clint. I was like, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, oh, this is just Legend of Korra, a
Right.
ripoff.
yeah.
But I was like, I was surprised that I liked it that much. I mean, I don't know what it
Yeah.
was, but it does, to your point, yeah, it does kind of somewhat feel like a ripoff.
Yeah, because it does enough just to kind of like separate itself from Avatar with the dragons and everything. But it's just like it's like this close to it being just Avatar.
Well, all I'm saying, if I want to watch a dragon movie, I'm watching How to Train Your Dragon, which does a great job at setting up plot and world in one movie.
Probably have the biggest How to Train Your Dragon fan here, Ryan. I mean, they're all great. Not saying you're wrong for doing that. I love them all too.
Yeah.
In a different order. He likes, you like 3 the most, right?
2.
Oh, okay. Then we agree.
So we were watching these a lot. I just redid my top 100, and so I was like, oh, I gotta rewatch the How to Train Your Dragons. 2 was the only one that made it, because I mean, like 2's flawed, but it's incredible. Like I cry. 3 is also fantastic. I think both of them are better than Raya. So Matt, I won't disagree with you at all. I mean, yeah.
But like, is this movie? You said you cried during How to Train Your Dragon. Is this movie emotional? Like, is Raya emotional?
I think so. I would say so.
Yeah.
I think it's a different kind of emotional though. You get like a character-driven conflict, and so this is where I'm a little conflicted, because I'm like, it's emotional for people who are paying attention to like the characters and themes, but not for kids. Which is where I connected and disconnected a little bit with it. But I was like, oh, these 2 characters are like driven against each other by their own determination to do what they think is best, but not trusting each other to kind of meet in the middle. And neither of them are really trusting this dragon who's telling them exactly what to do, vaguely. But and that's why it's kind of got a lot of emotion, because I don't know, maybe it's because I was still on a Tsushima binge and I was playing that music in my head during their last fight. But I like watching 2 characters that as the audience can get along fight is like kind of heartbreaking. It's what makes Civil War so great. And so I don't know. So I did get emotional. I wasn't crying, but no, but at the same time, it wasn't like, here, let's go second movie in and kill one of the main characters and have one of the other main characters do it.
I just can't find. I understand the conflict with them wanting the orb for themselves, but there's like no nefarious purpose for them to have it, except for them being selfish.
Yeah,
and that's what part that irritates me the most. And I think that's why I can't get invested, because there's not, like, aside from these, mystical like things, creatures that turn you into stone that we know nothing about. That is the crux of this film. Is that everyone can't go, hey, let's just share this and put this together. I think
you and I are on actually the same page, but with a different reaction.
Yeah.
Because that is totally what they
like.
bank on. They bank on you saying, hey, these 2 aren't trying to do bad things. That's why, I mean, I say Namari's an antagonist just because, according to the screenplay, she opposes her views. She's not like a bad guy. And so the 2 of them and
but
Ryan
she doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't. They don't have opposing views though.
Yeah, well, you're I mean, you're right. Kind of. I mean, Raya wants to take the gem away from Namari
because she's had the gem the entire time.
Yeah, because Namari broke it, and so that's why like Raya just won't get over this thing that happened in the past, and all she has to do is just get over it, and she won't do it.
It's easy to be the one. It's easy to be the one to get over it, like when you've had it the entire time. Like it doesn't. it does not make sense to me. Like, these people are dumb. They're all dumb. And there's no bad people. I need some villains in my Disney movies. I need some nefarious people that fall off buildings at the end and disappear and die. I don't need redeemable characters anymore. Stop redeeming everybody.
So we are on the same page.
It's funny you say, speaking of, go ahead, Clint, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Matt, you don't have to wait long because Cruella is going to come out in May. So
let's redeem the lady who wants to make a coat out of puppies.
Have I already made a Harley Quinn joke about that trailer?
Yes.
Okay, good. I had to sit through it again, and it looks so much worse the second time. I don't understand.
I'm on the fence.
Well, anyway, to your point, Matt, I agree with you though, Matt. Like there are certain things about this that just kind of like are like, because I thought while you're talking about it, I was like, yeah, why don't they just kind of like, hey, it's June, it's my turn, like to have the little orb or whatever, and it's like,
or just make a singular spot in the middle of your kingdom, or all 5 kingdoms that manually just showed up out of nowhere, because there weren't 5 kingdoms before. Apparently, there were 5 kingdoms after the dragons disappeared. So like, just put it in the middle, and everyone can chill and be nice to it.
But then the one selfish kingdom will decide to just take it, and the other 4 will turn on it, and then they'll all break apart anyway. And then you'll have one bad guy, but you'll lose some compelling themes.
I feel really bad for that one group of guys that I can't remember what body part of the dragon this people were. The spine. Yeah, the guy who was just by himself, and there's like, where's everybody else? And they're like, they went off to fight, and they never came back, or they're dead. Like, oh, sorry about that.
It's funny you mention him, because I kept thinking the entire time that he looked like Shan Yu from the original Mulan.
Yeah. Well, I will say that the heartstrings were pulled when they panned to like that empty crib, and I was like, oh crap, like that's gotta suck.
And then he pulls it out, and there's like a little stone baby in there.
Right.
Did the baby go off to war too?
I don't know.
Kids.
He apparently was the only one. I know.
Children.
Yeah. He was the only one left. Take it how you will. I don't know. All right. Are we done with Raya and the Last Dragon?
I'm never going to be done with this movie. Just kidding.
Probably not.
Aquafina.
Can we keep talking about it next week instead of Cherry?
Jeez. Hold that thought. All right. Well, then Raya the Last Dragon is done. And it is now time for Alex's Classic Corner. Alex, this week you watched Field of Dreams.
Yay, for the first time, too.
Did they come after they built it?
Wait, what?
Is that what that's from?
Yeah, the line is, if you build it, he will come.
I thought that was from a different baseball movie. I guess that would be Field of Dreams. I don't care.
No. So I had never seen this, and I've grown up being a baseball fan because my dad loves baseball. He loves football, basketball, all that stuff, but especially baseball. And that's kind of where I got my love for it. But he always was like never into this movie. So like all other movies like Major League or Pride of the Yankees, all those kind of things were always on at some point in my life. So I eventually saw some of that stuff. So yeah, but this he just never was totally interested in. He's just like, nah, I don't like this movie. He's like, I don't get what everybody else is saying. And so with that, that's where I formed my opinion. Like, you know what? If you don't like it, I don't really like it either. So, but now I finally given it a shot. And let me first say that it's definitely baseball themed, obviously, but it's like some movies are baseball because there's a lot of they are baseball movies because the sport goes on a lot within the movie. So, and that's not totally the case here. I think it's more about obviously the legend of the game, or the legends within the game. So it's obviously it's more of a kind of almost like a documentary piece, because you learn about like the Black Sox scandal, and how they threw the World Series in 1919. And then there's Shoeless Joe Jackson, who, you know, performed out of his mind in that World Series, but he was still banned from the Hall of Fame. And they're like, how can you do that? Because he was the only guy who even hit a home run in that World Series. So how can you even, you know, come up with that he threw the World Series? But anyway, you know, it's very interesting. It's very historical, and in a ton of ways, you learn a lot of baseball trivia, and I like that. I love that about it. I'll go ahead and just say my rating is a 8 out of 10. I loved this movie a lot. It was really good. I liked the journey that it took us through. It was a little bit, the pacing was off a little bit at first, because okay, it just jumps right into, you know, if you build it, he will come. You know, like, and then he just yeah, if you build it, he will come. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, oh man, I think that means I got to build a baseball field so Joe Jackson will come back. You know, like, how do you come up with that? So that was a little off, but they corrected that later on. Like they got me in with the rest of the movie. I liked it. I loved the journey, and I think the end. Now, see, I knew that you know, some people had talked about it before, that he plays catch with his dad at the end, but and so I knew that, but I never actually saw it. But you know, the fact that, you know, that line, if you build it, he will come, it wasn't talking about Shoeless Joe Jackson like he had first thought. You know, it's about his dad, who he never really had a true relationship with, and actually did a lot of things to spite him. So it's almost like, and I love that idea behind the movie. It's like Field of Dreams. It's like, it's not like, oh man, I can play with my, you know, favorite baseball players. You know, I can play with Babe Ruth. I can play with Hank Aaron. No, it's more about guys who lost opportunities in the sport. Like that guy, Archibald Graham, who only got to play one inning in his entire major league career. Like, that was his only game ever, one inning, and he didn't even get to make a play. So it made you like look at the character, and the way they incorporate the character into the field, and then, you know, how it's like how to show their pain of not being able to pursue their dream of the game. You know, and that was really effective. I liked it a lot. Is a really good theme in the movie. And then the end, obviously, I just mentioned, you know, where he plays catch with his dad. It's like, that's who he's talking about. If you build a baseball field, your dad will be there. And then you can, because his dad never got to realize his dream of being a major league player. And, you know, and he, not only is he gaining like this person who's getting a second chance, so to speak, with the game, but he's also, you know, gaining this one pureness in his relationship with his father. And I'll be honest, I didn't think it. I've heard of people crying at this moment in the movie at the end, and I didn't think I was going to, but man, that got me teary eyed. That was a very emotional and effective scene. I don't know if everybody else agrees with it, but I was just like, man, it's such a pure and simple moment, but it's so powerful. I don't know how. I don't know why my dad doesn't like this movie. I think it's the fantastical side of cinema, and I don't think he's totally into that. I think he's more into the realism of baseball, and that's why he loves. And I love Moneyball too, but he loves Moneyball. So, but I like the fantasy idea behind this, and I love the themes, and I love the emotions and the music. Oh, the music just adds so much to this. Ryan, if you don't have this and you haven't heard it, which you probably have, go ahead.
I did own it. I bought it and listened to it. Maybe it's because I didn't have the movie to go along with it. It was like one of my lower tier James Horner soundtracks, so I gave it to my dad.
Yeah, you know, and that's not to say like it's bad. It's just, I don't think it's, yeah, you didn't have the right elements to go with it. And plus you're not really into the sport. So, and that's no surprise at all. So I don't blame you for not liking it. So no, but it's a great film. This is one of the better ones I've watched of classics, and I'm glad I did. So yeah, 8 out of 10. I'm just mad at myself for taking this long to have watched it. So I was like, whenever I have to rent a movie and pay the $4 on Vudu or something, I'm always like, man, I'm like, man, now I wish I'd have just bought the dang thing, because I'd watch this again.
They should have that as an option on Vudu. If you rent it, they should be like, all right, do you just want to buy it? We'll just charge the extra, whatever it is.
Maybe that is that might be a thing. I'll have to look that up. They might like knock it out to $2. Oh, it's not. Oh, dang. Okay.
I feel like they're missing out. That'd be a great idea.
Right.
Yeah, it's almost like the iTunes thing where you buy one song and they're like, hey, you can finish the entire album just for this price. Yeah. So 8 out of 10, awesome movie. Is it my favorite baseball movie? Jury's out on that one, but it's a solid flick.
I don't know why this just popped in my. Well, I do know why, because you were talking about Shoeless Joe and them, losing or gaming the World Series. Have you seen the movie 8 Men Out? Have you?
We were talking about that beforehand, and yes and no. Like, I've seen a part of it, and I never really got into it. I think I would be into it because I like the history of baseball, but at the same time, I want baseball in my movie, and I hear that this movie is more political.
Yeah,
because obviously,
it's a little bit there's a little fiction in there, but I would definitely check it out it's a good film just for performances and just the history of it. I think it makes it interesting, and plus the cast is crazy good. So
yeah, and in fact, I think not to, I guess, segue into that first, but I think Clint and I were thinking, how do I want to continue on with the classics thing that I've been doing? I think just because baseball is still in the era of spring training and everything, I might just go ahead and do another baseball movie, and that actually might be my next one, is 8 Men Out. But I don't remember if we suggested something else, Clint. Was that
League
it?
Of Their Own.
League of Their Own. Maybe I'll do like a double thing. Maybe I'll watch both this weekend. Does anybody own these?
I don't think so.
Dang. Well, I may watch one. I may watch both, but who knows?
Well, League of Their Own's a more fun watch. So
yeah, definitely.
There's no crying in baseball.
Yeah, it's Tom Hanks.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, or you could just switch to basketball and you can watch Blue Chips starring Shaquille O'Neal.
Why don't I just go watch Shazam?
Or you can stick a fork in your hand.
No, not Shazam. Kazam. I'm sorry. Kazam. His greatest film ever made.
Yeah.
He's a rapping genie, man. How can you lose?
Oh, you could. You could very much.
You could. There's losses, and then there's blowouts.
Yeah, I love Field of Dreams. This is one of my favorite movies. I think it is one of the best one-liner movies, because there's a lot of good one-liners in this movie that just kind of like get passed over. Like he has that whole thing where he's like, I've always wanted to like stand at bat and like wink at the pitcher, like I know more than the pitcher does. And he like winks at the guy and he chucks the baseball at his face.
Yeah.
He's like, stop winking, kid.
Yeah, it's a lot of tongue-in-cheek kind of deal going on. Yeah, I mean, one scene I didn't think I didn't really like the actress who played his wife. I wasn't really digging her, but I kind of sidestepped that one because she's not really any true focus in the movie. I mean, obviously being his spouse, yes, she's in there for a good chunk, but she's not the main focus. It's like the PTA scene, where they're at the school and there's all the people talking about, burning the books, these are all, communist propaganda and, this is blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that was one scene I wasn't too crazy about, but it was just to segue into that. Who is it? Terrence Mann was involved in some way or another, which still kind of is weird. I mean, but still, it's that's getting into nitpicky. So that was one part I didn't care about. But yeah, It's a great flick altogether. I'm just sad I haven't watched it until now.
All right. Well, that was Alex's Classic Corner. So up next week, guys. Since I didn't get suggestions from the three of you, we're still
There's
stuck
nothing
on
coming out.
I know. We're still stuck with Cherry, starring Tom Holland and somebody else, directed by the Russo brothers. Yeah. This is our segue into the 4-hour-long Snyder Cut. So,
Is watching paint dry an option? I'm just asking. Is that an option?
no,
Oh,
unfortunately not. It'd probably be more interesting though. But yeah, Cherry.
Oh man, this movie's got Bill Skarsgård in it.
Ooh, does he?
What movie is he not in yet?
It's like we're gonna be watching Devil all the time.
Jesus.
Oh man, now I'm gonna really hate this guy. I remember I didn't hate that movie. It was all right.
So excited.
I almost forgot about that movie until just this moment.
So, Alex, you're gonna decide on 8 Men Out or League of Their Own this week.
For right now, let's go ahead and commit that I'll just do 2, and then later on in the week I'll say I'll either.
Oh, okay. So
I'll baseball out.
you're gonna be the one that disappoints our fans when you choose only one.
Maybe I'll do a poll where only you guys answer. League of Their Own or 8 Men Out? Probably League of Their Own because it's a more fun one.
Yeah, it's Tom Hanks. I mean, come on.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, then, do we have anything else, guys?
I would like to say, while we've been talking, I've actually had Raya playing, and that fight scene at the end is really, really dope. I will say that. I'd also like to mention that the frenemy is actually probably the good guy in this scenario, because thanks to her breaking the thing and putting it back together, the dragons have come back.
So she was inadvertently the hero.
Yeah, so she is the good person all along.
So it should be
Raya
what's her
is
name?
the villain.
Kunai? What's her name?
Namari and the Last Dragon.
Namari and the Last Dragon. That almost sounds more epic. Kunari and the Last Dragon.
Namari.
And then people went, yeah, I think it's good.
Kumar goes to White Castle.
Because I'm sitting here watching the end of the movie, it's literally ending right now, and I'm like, wait, so the thing's back together, the things are the villain, the little amoebas are gone, but all the tribes are back. Does this mean they're all going to be fighting over that little ball again? And I was like, wait, the dragons are back, so they're all going to live in harmony now. And I'm like, wait, the dragons are back. That just means Namari saved the day. Good job.
Tell the second one when evil moles come out of nowhere.
I am the mole man. What was the guy's name? The Undertaker, something. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Incredibles reference.
Incredibles, yeah.
Underminer, that's what it was. Yes.
Welcome to this side of the ring, the Underminer.
Thank you for that. Well then, yeah. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. Please give us a like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. We like comments. So also, one last time, we are on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Amazon. Please check us out there if you want to listen to us instead of watching us. But until then, I believe this meeting is adjourned. Deuces, everyone.